Hello, my name is Christiana Maxion, aka the Dubai Matchmaker, and I am incredibly passionate about connection, and I'm so excited to be on Voices of the Future.
It's amazing to have Christiana with us today. Dubai Matchmaker, I mean, wow, what else do we need to do? I was introduced to her by a friend, and apparently she is one of the most successful matchmakers in Dubai. Hopefully she's making people happy, and we're going to be diving deeper into this rather than just bringing people together. I myself consider myself as a matchmaker. This book, Voices of the Future, is actually about connecting the dots of the future and pulling it together. Today we'll talk about the future of matchmaking, the future of love, the future of relationships, future connection and how people actually connect with each other, and really all things also about business and technology, because Christiana is also an extremely successful businesswoman and building a unicorn at this moment in time. Christiana.
It's going to be a dragon, not a unicorn.
Dragon? Okay.
Do you know what a dragon is?
No, I don't know what a dragon is.
So unicorns are tech companies that are valued at 1 billion or more.
Yes.
And dragons are valued at 12 billion or more.
Okay, that's 12 billion is a reasonably good number.
Yes.
But I mean, we can also call them camelcorns.
Yes,
as
that's
you're
what
in the
they
Middle
have
East.
them here. A camel corn, oh gosh, so funny, I love it.
And a camelcorn is actually 100 million. I'm just
Oh,
100
whatever, I'll get there, why not?
I'm sure you will. Christiana, it's lovely to have you here, and thanks for being so sporting and so open and relaxed and joining us on something which is literally, most people think it's very techie, and it's all about technology and digital and stuff. Actually, it's not. Voices of the future. We all have a voice. And I want you to project your voice into the future. It's about collective consciousness, collective impact, collective intelligence, and really about making a difference in the future, in the world. That's who I am.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about. So that's what I'm bringing in today. Christiana, can we take you down to the little Christiana? The naughty little one who running around. Were you naughty firstly, or were you just a good little kid who just got A's at school and always well behaved?
I would say I'm balanced in a sense that, so actually, everyone used to call me Chrissy. Mm-hmm. My family and close friends call me T. Okay. Everyone here calls me Christiana. But I was excellent at school when I was like younger, like up until age 12. Right. Always got straight A's. I was always like scared to make a mistake. Always respected authority. Then I think like hormones kick in, like 12, 13, like you start liking boys, and then you're just a little naughty. I was very naughty. Okay. I still got excellent grades though. I got a scholarship to dive at university. Like I always made sure that I had good grades, or else I knew my mom would kill me. Sure. So, but in terms of being naughty and like me being younger in like my teenage years, I was definitely rebellious. Sneaking out of the house, drinking, boys, all of it. But I think that just comes with the territory of growing up in New York. Yep. Just happens that way.
Yeah. When I was young, I had a deal with my parents, and that was that as long as I'm getting A's, I'm allowed to do anything. So the two things I wanted to do when I was 15, 16, 17 is sports and girls.
Yeah, normal.
That's what you do.
That's it.
And that was my license. That gave me the license to go out there and do whatever I wanted, as long as I was successful academically, which was my pact with my parents, which was quite interesting. Did you have any failures, any bumps in the road? Did you fall into a hole somewhere?
Of course I have. That's life, right? And
I know.
Those are lessons. I think that in the past, especially when I was living in New York, I probably made decisions that weren't the best. Like I think about how young I was and gallivanting around New York City as like a 15-year-old girl. And like now I know like the horrors of the world. But when you're 14, 15, 16, you think nothing will ever bad happen to you. I'm so lucky, grateful, thank you God, angels, universe, that nothing terrible has happened to me. But of course you make poor decisions and friends and the group that you keep and decisions that you make beyond that. But Yeah.
One of the things I want to do is to actually demystify failure. Because in this part of the world particularly, you're really not allowed to fail. I failed my accountancy exam when I was about 23 years of age, and I had never failed at anything. I was a straight student, always successful.
Yeah.
And that's when I started losing my hair. That's when I started getting myself into all sorts of trouble. Yeah, I mean, it was really because I said to my parents, you gave me everything. You gave me love, you gave me warmth, you gave me protection, but you never taught me how to fail. And this is something which a lot of people in this part of the world don't. And so even when you go into technology, into building businesses and so on, you've got to get it right first time, almost. And that's how, not in the US, but certainly in this part of the world. So I always ask the failure question because I find that we learn a lot from sort of bumps in the road that we get.
I always say that they're lessons learned.
Indeed.
And when you kind of like flip that perspective, because a lot of people don't like the word failure. It to them has such like a negative connotation. Where I actually say everything that has made me take a left turn, a right turn, a U-turn, I think about it just as that, right? These are lessons learned that has made me pivot into creating something different. And all of those things needed to happen in order to get me on the right path.
Sure. Tell us about your life at the moment. You seem to be living the high life, matchmaker extraordinaire. Tell us about how this whole thing works.
Oh my gosh. So it's funny, like when I started my career as a matchmaker, so I had been a connector my entire life. My grandfather was heavily involved in politics. My father is an excellent people person. And I think that growing up in New York, I just have a good read on people and I can tell who's going to connect and who's not. And when I ventured into the love industry, I didn't go to like matchmaking school or anything like that. I kind of just thought like, what would I want from a matchmaker if I were to hire one? And it just, gosh, the demand for it was extreme and just proved to me that people were seeking an alternative as to what was currently on the market in terms of dating apps and things like that.
Sure.
Became global, joined a team 6-7 months into going public with my company. And that was crazy and a wild ride. And I used to be known as the Dubai matchmaker. People now call me the billionaire matchmaker. I'll take both. Because our clients are high net worth, ultra high net worth men. We matchmake them not only here, but across the globe. And yeah.
But what about, yes, ultra high net worth men are nice, but what about just normal men? And what about guys like me? I'm not a billionaire, you know.
Yeah, so
we have a heart, we have a soul,
Of course
we have depth and humanity. Why is it about money?
So what happened with the success of the agencies, like the offline agency, the very personalized, hands-on, one-to-one experience, I saw that I was creating so much love, but only for a niche group of people. And we only take on a certain number of clients per quarter because it's such a personalized service that this is why I actually decided to digitize the services. And then it birthed my app, Maxion, which is an app that has basically taken my entire matchmaking experience in the agency, has put it in your pocket. And now the audience for that are ambitious individuals, successful professionals. And this is a way to not only reach a much wider audience, but to scale and to still give that level of caliber of how we introduce people and make the matchmaking magic happen, but just obviously to much wider audience.
Okay. Take me through the user experience, to the customer experience. I'm single. How do I apply? What do I do? How do I start?
Yes, so download, number one. Step one, Maxion, download.
Okay, Maxion, done.
And then,
done.
And then everybody has to go through an application process.
Sure.
In the application process, we look at your professional timeline via LinkedIn. We look at your social prowess via whichever social account you want to link to it. We then have, because we have first started in the UAE, you have to connect your Emirates ID to it. We want to make sure that you're a real person, verified person, cross-check that with AI photos, things like that. And then once you have applied, our team then goes through all the applications. We choose who we think would be a great fit as a Maxion member. Once you are accepted onto the platform, you must choose a membership. This is not a free service, but obviously the prices are way different than the matchmaking. So the prices for the app start at 1,000 dirham, where the prices for the offline agency start at $30,000 US and go all the way up to $250,000 US. So obviously this is a much more accessible way to find love and connection. Each Sunday, we send you compatible connections based on your profile, which you have created, which is your life goals, your personal values, and other things that we take into consideration as matchmakers. And then it's up to you whether or not you say yes, maybe pass for each of these persons.
And it's both ways, girls to boys, boys to girls?
Yes, exactly. And then the great matchmaking magic that happens is with our partnership with 7 Rooms, we actually get you, once it's a mutual connection, we get your availability, her availability, and then we plan, book, and confirm your date. So there's no talking in between. You get in person, in real life with this other person who could be a potential match for you. With our partnership with Yango, we get you to the date.
What's Yango?
Yango is a chauffeur service.
Okay.
Yeah. And then afterwards, we collect feedback from both parties. And that feedback will feed into our AI compatibility engines in order to perfect the compatibility process in order to find you a partner better. And then the cherry on top for the people that are in the UAE, in Dubai, is that we have in-person parties. Because not everybody has the time to go on one-on-one dates. So we say maximize your chances of connection and meet people in the real world who are all Maxion members, vetted, verified. And yeah, you can find somebody in real life, because we're talking about digital and everything is digitizing now. But we need to remember that humans need humans.
Sure. I understand what you're doing. And I love the more personalized piece. What does that actually mean? I mean, do you get to know the person? Do you spend time together? Because that's very high touch.
Yes, with the agency?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the agency is extremely personalized, and we get to know our clients so well in and out, especially from the like before they start the matchmaking process. But then the feedback from their dates is really where the matchmaking magic happens, because then we get to know their personalities, who they clash with, who they get on with, and that's how we can basically help determine who their next compatible partner will be.
Okay. What are women looking for?
Oh gosh. It's so individual, but what in general?
But just in general, I mean,
in general.
When you put a little checklist I mean, what was that movie? What Women Want?
Yes, you know what women want.
Well, if I did, I would be in a different place. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I always say that women fall in love between their ears. There needs to be an emotional connection, intellectual
emotion is not
stimulation.
between the ears. Emotion is actually down here.
Oh, well, no, you listen to it. No,
Okay.
you listen to it. It's
I thought it was here.
brain. I'm telling you that
Okay.
women fall in love between their ears. They want to hear it, right? They want to hear, they want to see what kind of connection you have here. Like, you know how women say, you could laugh me into bed. That happens a lot
That's
too.
true. That's very
It's
true.
not about looks.
Yeah.
Women are not visual creatures. Men are visual creatures. So men initially fall in love through their eyes.
That's true.
Right. But what women are looking for, and what I see a lot of the women who join our database, is that they're looking for a traditional man who is going to protect and provide. And that can be in so many different senses, right? Financially, emotionally. So it's really individual as to what somebody's looking for.
Yeah.
But what I do see a lot is that women are on, I don't like to say the hunt, but they are seeking a man who will play that traditional gender role of that masculine who will protect and provide.
I think we're living in a modern world where both men and women are quite emancipated, empowered within themselves. But I mean, in an old-fashioned way, I can see the connection. One of the things I learned many, many years ago was about languages of love, the 6 languages of love.
Okay, I know 5.
I know 5. Okay,
Okay.
These are 6 languages of love.
Okay.
You know, it was about language of touch, language of gifts, language of giving quality time,
Acts of service,
and so on. Is that a real thing,
Yes.
or you know, when you're matching people, that you know, I'm saying, well, you know, and the guy is saying, "Oh, I gave her a car for her birthday," and she's saying, "He doesn't love me anymore because he hasn't sent me flowers." But for her, it's the gesture. For him, it's the gift, and the 2 languages are crossing over and not connecting. How do you figure that one out?
So the way that I like to talk about this and deal with this with my clients is that you do not need to be a carbon copy of one another
Of course.
and have the same love languages. But what you do need to know is, how do you show love, number one, and how do you want to receive love? So those love languages, and speaking about this openly with your partner, I'll give you a prime example. So I like to show love through giving gifts. And I've had a past partner before where I would give a lot of gifts, but that wasn't the way he wanted to receive love. So I always felt like it was a mismatch, maybe because we never spoke about it, and because he didn't show appreciation for the way that I was showing love, there was a mismatch there. Now, it's not about being a carbon copy of one another. It's more about understanding how the other person is showing love, how the other person receives love, kind of adapting to that, but then showing appreciation for the other person and how they do show love.
And I'm being a little old-fashioned, but to me, a lot of this is intuitive. You feel that sense. I totally understand bringing people together, because you are now increasing the average, the chances, because you're meeting people in a sort of similar space. But a lot of what I feel in my dating life and so on, it's very intuitive. Yes, there are all the other elements that are there. And I've screwed up many times, so obviously it didn't always work.
I have someone for you, by the way.
Okay.
I do, I'm not kidding. After this, I'm going to show you her
There you
profile.
go. There you go. So it is about being intuitive. It is about caring and sharing. It's about humanity and connection. And, I'm very strong, but I'm very kind. And I said, to me, kindness is strength, not weakness. But I've been taken advantage of regularly. And I'm being very open and vulnerable with you. But this is the kind of thing. So how do you find that mix? How do you cook the pot in a way that we are able to express ourselves in our most natural and authentic way, rather than a beautiful little date where the stretch limousine turns up and I'm behaving properly and I'm doing all the wonderful things for her, and vice versa. Why don't we just throw them on, I don't know, in a boat together, or in a parachute together, or in a hot air balloon, and say, figure shit out. I'm serious, because I'm trying to get away from the technology and the facilitation to the humanity and connection and love.
Well, what I love about the matchmaking agency is that we plan, book, and confirm the dates too. And this is why our clients come to us, because even though we have clients all ages, nationalities, religions, they have one common thread, and that they're time poor. So they use our service to expedite the entire process. But it's about meeting in person. And some of our clients request a dinner as a first date. Some of them request activities as a first date, right? They really want to see how they get on in certain scenarios. I love an activity, especially something that has a little hint of competition.
Sure.
Because then you get to see how somebody loses and
Absolutely.
how somebody wins,
Indeed.
and how well you work together to accomplish a task. Let's say it's like an escape room. I love escape rooms. I think they're so much fun. Now, beyond that, what I love about the app is that we're facilitating you meeting in person. Because two people on paper could be absolutely perfect for one another. They meet in person, no connection. Two people on paper, you could be on the fence. You meet in person, an incredible connection. So it's all about meeting in person. So you're talking about that heart to heart, right? You need to meet in person in order to figure out what kind of connection you have and could build from.
Indeed. And and the reason I'm probing, because one of my main relationships that I had about 10 years ago was, on paper, she was perfect. Absolutely. She was an economist, she was attractive, she was loving and intelligent and smart and independent, tick, 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 all the way through. My sister had just passed away, and we had a lot of sadness in my home, and my father just before that. And so my mum and my sister insisted, just do it. You're a kind, nice, decent person. She'll fall in love with you, and you love babies, and everything is fine. And I'm saying, but it's just not gelling.
Okay.
And it was about intimacy, lack of connection was there, the warmth was there, but intimacy wasn't there. And
that's a big piece of the pie,
it's
though.
a huge piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And I discovered afterwards that how important that actually was in that relationship. And then we are still friends, and we parted nicely and so on, but that wasn't the issue. But that to me was a big experience, and so saying we can tick 9 out of 10 boxes, that should be, usually it should be good enough. But I think I'm a very masculine person. To me, intimacy and physical connection is really important, and that wasn't working.
For sure.
So I'm wondering whether we can live life in a formulaic environment.
In a way?
Formulaic, like a formula.
No, I think that, it's interesting. We live in a society now where we see, quote unquote, perfectionism everywhere. It's all over social media.
Yeah.
It's kind of shoved down our throats that if your boyfriend doesn't buy you 100 roses, he doesn't love you.
Yes.
And I think that's so silly, honestly.
Yeah.
Like Valentine's Day just passed,
That's
right?
yeah.
And I'm sure some people might have been sad seeing all of these things on Instagram, let's say.
Yeah.
But in actuality, like, what people need to realize is that it's just for the gram. Like, this isn't real or reality. You don't see the behind the scenes, maybe them yelling at each other, put the roses here, or somebody bought it for themselves instead. So what I think that social media has done is that it's created this idea that the person that you are going to be with is going to be 100% perfect.
Yep.
Humans are humans. Nobody is perfect.
Yep.
I say seek 80% and then grow from there.
That's exactly the advice I was given, which was wrong. I had almost 90%. I wanted to grow from there, and I fell off the edge.
What's your love language? Maybe your top love language is that physical touch, which then plays into intimacy.
Yeah.
And if you are not getting there, then you're not at 90%.
Okay, fair enough.
You're much, much lower.
Fair enough. So in relationships and in this kind of matchmaking and stuff, I see it like a T, which is, that's the width, and in other words, you can do lots and lots of things together, or depth. I see a lot of relationships here which are very superficial.
Correct.
Rather than deeper. Forgive my skepticism in terms of, there are so many apps and so many dating apps, and by the way, I've never been on an app in my life. Going right, left, this, that, and the other. I'm just thinking, like, really? The moment, and I almost see myself, or that I failed in some way. I know it's wrong, because in the modern world today, we need to come together. Like you said, we are time poor and stuff like that. How do I go beyond it just being at a surface level, at a shallow level, at a transactional level, rather than a deep engagement level?
So the reason why a lot of our clients come to us is because they are looking for a partner that they could build a life with, not just live a lifestyle. So the T that you're speaking about, I see live a lifestyle and I see build a life, right?
Brilliant, lovely way.
They're looking for depth. They're looking for a partner that they can build an empire with, a family with, legacy, generations, right?
Sure.
And what we see a lot on social media is a lot about living a lifestyle. Do know that a lot of the women that apply for our database, like, we can tell right away who's seeking to live a lifestyle and who's seeking to build a life with somebody.
I understand.
So in terms of trying to find that depth, it's all about when you meet that person in person. It can't just be messaging, because then when you start messaging somebody, you create this false intimacy with them. You're building them up in your brain. You must meet in person right away to see if you have, is there any intellectual stimulation happening, any emotional connection? And listen, it does take time. Relationships take time. You might not know on the first date. You might not know on the 8th date.
Sure.
You need to go through things together. You need to go through life together.
Indeed.
Highs and lows, wins and losses, to see if you can build with that person.
Indeed. We are talking about Voices of the Future. We have Christiana Maxion here with us, and we are having a very open, vulnerable counseling session almost. So I'm going
to send him an invoice after this.
Exactly. I was just wondering what the hell is that invoice going to look like, because I'm getting a really, really amazing counseling session here. But more than that, we're discovering that we are time poor, and this is basically increasing the opportunities to for both sides to be able to find a greater opportunity to come together. Because it's Voices of the Future, Christiana,
Yes.
let's talk about the future. What's the future of love look like? What does the future of, and the future of your business look like?
Oh gosh, so future of love.
Yeah.
I know we touched upon this before. Everything is getting so digitized now. Even Maxion has digitized it, right?
Yeah.
My matchmaking services. But we need to remember that in this world of AI and technology, humans need humans. We were talking offline about AI girlfriends and dolls that people have now and all of this, but there will never be a recession on love because there needs to be a human connection. Partnership is needed for a long, healthy, happy life.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, and the example that we were discussing was in Japan, where the wives are extremely unhappy because the husbands aren't turning up, and when they're turning up, they're totally exhausted. And we know exactly why, because they've been with their beautiful bots that have now become extremely lifelike, and they can be on high, medium, low, and whatever speed and whatever mood, etc.
Yes.
Where I'm going with this, on the one side, it is that physical aspect. The other is what I call the digital love. And you've seen those movies where you actually fall in love with your digital twin, or you go inside, you live inside the metaverse. You live inside the metaverse, and you actually fall in love in the metaverse, and you're like,
crazy.
Really? Okay, but a lot of people are spending so much time there that actually that is their reality.
I know. For me personally, maybe I'm a person, I crave human connection, whether that's friendship, romantic, other. And it's never made sense in my brain, but that is something that people are turning to nowadays. It is something that is extremely accessible. I mean, I believe in human connection. So.
Okay, understood. So do I. We have three amazing doctors and futurists in there, Dr. Graham Simpson, Dr. Mike Sennell, and Jose Cordero. All three of them talk about longevity.
Okay.
And Jose Cordero has written a book called The Death of Death. In other words, aging and death will be considered a disease. So I say, Christiana, you haven't taken the aging pill. I mean, like, we don't need to get old. And in the next 5 to 10 years, we'd be able to fix ourselves, even reverse it through various epigenetic changes and so on.
I'm seeing it already happening.
That's
for
right.
sure.
Yeah. So we fixed ourselves. The second part is that the average mortality rate at the age at the moment is around 82. In the next 20 years, it's going to be about 100. So our kids are going to be living to 100, and our grandchildren will be living to about 120 to 125. And with technology and preventive technology and genetics and genome work and things like that, all of that is being covered in the book. Theoretically, we should live well beyond 100, both of us. And our kids about 125. So let's say we were both 25 years old, and we met at university, work, whatever, and we got married at 30. Am I going to be married to you for 100 years? Give me a break. Same person?
My parents are.
Stuck. Well, exactly. Our old-fashioned, my parents would be the same.
Yeah.
What I'm going with this is, how is the institution of marriage and that connection shifting? Because if you're going to be living for 100 years, you can't do a job for 100 years. Can you be married to the same person for 100 years? And so on. So I think the dynamic is changing, because in the past, it was used to be about 30, 40 years, which was 50 years maximum. You get married at 30, you die at 80, you have 50 years.
Yeah.
One of you dies earlier, so you have about 40 years together, and even that was long. But now you're looking at 80 to 100 years. Dynamics are different. How does that change love? How does that change this kind of connection?
So for me, when I think about true connection and a partner that you're building a life with, I think that we live in a day and age of social media when we're talking about perfectionism and all of this, and people are getting rid of one another very quickly and very easily.
Sure.
Because there's this false notion that there is an endless pool of compatible people out there, when in actuality, these are just flat profiles that maybe aren't the real person behind that profile or internet persona.
Yeah.
So what I see a lot nowadays is that there isn't a lot of resilience or grit in relationships. People are so ready to toss you along for the greener grass, right?
And I'll take another angle.
Yes.
And that is that My father had two jobs. One was an army, he was a senior army officer, and then he was working. So basically he had two jobs in his life. I've already had 5, 6, 7 jobs.
Yeah.
I have reinvented myself 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah.
So if our parents used to, your dad, my dad would be, starting at the age of 20 in the early 20s, and they work till 65, and they get their PIN, this, that, and the other, and they retire. And,
different, way different life.
Way different life.
Yeah.
Now, in my 50-year work life, I would have changed jobs 10 times, reinvented myself 3, 4, 5 times, because we need to. Why is it that we're stuck with one marriage, one love, one thing? Why can't we just keep changing every 5 to 10 years? And
leasing a car, right?
And I know it's silly and funny, and I'm being very practical.
No, it's fine.
No, it's not about leasing a car. What I'm trying to say here is that I think society paradigms change when we look into the future. Expectations change. Now, hybrid working started a few years ago, so suddenly that's shift, complete shift. Now, digital nomads. You want to just bugger off and live wherever you want to live, and do the work. So that's another shift.
It changes lifestyle. Instead of growing up in the same hometown, having the same career, having the same life. So I totally see what you're saying. Most definitely. I actually advise couples, even couples that I work with, about having a relationship contract. Okay. And in that relationship contract, it's these are the things that we want to build together. Like, what is going well in our relationship? Let's keep doing these things. How can we improve for one another? Let's start doing these things, right? And then revisiting that contract on whatever timeline you want it to be, quarterly. 6 months, 1 year, however you want to look at it. Maybe make a lease for your partner. But essentially, that's what it is, right? And then you revisit it and say, okay, how are we treating one another? How are we making each other feel? Sure. Is it time to renew this contract, or is it time to exit the contract?
Interesting you say that. I was having a conversation with a very dear friend of mine who's also here, right here, Nicole Bradford. She's a neuroscientist and a brilliant woman. And she lives in San Francisco. And I remember sitting just on our table there with her having this conversation. And I'm like, really, is this true? And she said, do you know what is ethical monogamy? And I said, it doesn't make any sense to me. Ethical monogamy is that if we are together, I can give you permission, you can give me permission to be with other people. And it's ethical. And we are monogamous, but we're giving each other permission. This is happening in San Francisco all the time, and various other. So there are a lot of new relationship sets that are coming together, which are different and almost socially unacceptable, particularly in this part of the world.
Yes.
So my question is that society changes. Technology is one component. Technology to me is just an enabler, but society changes, behavior changes, expectations change. Instead of living for 80 years, now we're living 120 years, something else changes. We are much more mobile, that changes.
Correct. Access to information, access to people. Yes.
So when we talk about the future of love, the future of matchmaking, the future of connection, I love the fact that you are human enough, romantic enough, you're heart-based enough that you're talking about love. And I honestly, God truth, I half expected that it would be more transactional. But you keep going back to love. I love it. No, I love it.
That's like the core of my business. And my mission in life is just creating connection. And what I love about the agency is that we have created connection, but for this group of people, now I'm so excited to create it for such a mass bigger group of people. Like I know that that's my mission in life, is to create that for others.
Tell us about your CamelCon, Unicorn, DragonCon.
Dragon. Well, yeah, I mean, Maxion is crazy to me. I feel like the universe has aligned for me to actually found and build this app in the right way. And the first amount of money I put into building a prototype was February 4th, 2023.
Right.
We launched on the App Store December 4th, 2023. The first connections we sent out was February 4th, 2024.
Okay.
Literally just a couple of weeks ago. And I cannot tell you the amount of success that we've already had in terms of creating connection for people, because we've had in-person parties before as like pre-launch things, so relationships have already been formed, and that's so exciting to me. But then also we're already in talks about branching into Asia and across GCC. So I'm so excited for what's to come for Maxion.
Another version of a matchmaker used to be our aunties and our grandmas
Yeah.
and things like that. So are you just digitizing being an auntie? Are you the agony aunt and the love aunt?
So what I can't wait to do is to actually localize the product for Islamic connections. And this is where we're actually going to involve families. And I'm super stoked because what I've learned as a matchmaker, especially somebody who doesn't just serve Western clients, I serve clients all over the world, all different cultures and religions. I know that in certain cultures, you need to get buy-in. It's not just two people making a decision.
Sure.
It's the cousins, the brothers, the aunts, the moms, the dads. Everybody has to make the decision.
That's true.
So I'm excited to figure out the way to get everybody involved in order to create connections that last. Because right now we are in a divorce pandemic, right? People are breaking up so easily and the rates are just skyrocketing, and I want to try and combat that in the best ways I can.
Super. Let's both you and I jump, if you're adventurous, let's get onto a time machine.
Yes.
And we'll figure the time machine and take us forward to your 100th birthday.
Am I alive?
Yeah. So we're at your 100th birthday. What are we celebrating? What are you seeing around you? What's happened?
Man.
What's Christiana done?
I see a huge family around me, generations and generations, and we're all celebrating love, happiness, and all of the things that I've created and built in this world to facilitate love, happiness, and connection.
Do you know that the highest vibration as an energy level is love?
Yeah.
It's the highest level. And Einstein talks about it, and he's a scientist, and he was really upset one day because he invented the theory of relativity, which created a lot of the basics of a nuclear bomb, of nuclear fission. And he said, I didn't want to create a nuclear bomb, I wanted to create a love bomb.
Aww.
And because that is what it's all about. It's about creating that and that comes from a scientist of his caliber. Are you hopeful about the future in terms of the way things are happening and the world is changing? Are you hopeful?
Yes.
Okay.
Go.
Please.
No, I was just going to say, I think that there's a lot of shift happening with this kind of move away from technology in a sense, and social media. People want more real, authentic, genuine connections. So people really want to move offline and into the real world again. So I'm excited.
I was going to say that digital detox is probably thing. Now, in today's paradigm, I think social media is extremely relevant. And I can tell you as a futurist that in 5 to 10 years' time, social media will disappear as we know it, because a lot of it will be embedded as a tattoo, embedded within us, embedded in our brain, embedded in a chip. So a lot of that will actually disappear, and a lot of our relationships and our connections will be contextual. It will actually be around us, so to speak, in an ambient environment. So social is today. Tomorrow is context, and that's also going to change. This is why I was talking about the future with you, is that I love that you keep talking about love. Love that you keep talking about love is amazing. I think we also need to be also talking about some of the other human attributes beyond love. Is loyalty, honesty, all the elements of trust. Trust to me, when I talk about the future, the number one most important thing is trust. And there's a trust deficit in the world. We don't trust our institutions, we don't trust our countries, we don't trust our politicians, we don't trust our banks, we don't trust anyone. There's a huge, huge, huge deficit of trust, sadly. So to me, that's at a real premium. Where do you stand on trust?
I think that honestly, living in the UAE, like I used to live in New York, like I said, I grew up there. I have built more trust and security living in this country than I have anywhere else. I do.
That's good.
I do trust here more than I do. Because I've received so much here, and my life has changed so much for the better that I do have a lot of trust living in this country. And in this, they call it the bubble, but I like being in the bubble.
It's a wonderful bubble because I'm in the exact same bubble. Because the story of my life is I actually lead with trust. My starting point with you is I trust you, I care for you, and I look for good things in you until something unfortunate happens. I get screwed in the meantime several times, but I have trusted people and I've got let down. But I still lead through trust. And I think in our life, we need to find ways. Love is one, but trust, truth, ethics is another area where we need to find a sense of unity. And I think those are stronger foundations. Another foundation is coming together and looking at other human attributes of doing things together, which generally my other company is called MAD. MAD stands for Make a Difference, and I'm about making a difference. So if you and I can make a difference together, we're in the zone. We're already compatible. And those are the kinds of things that I look for in a partner, is to be able to just flow, is to be able to get into that microflow, which is called ikigai in Japanese.
I know ikigai.
And get into that microflow and understand the core of the person, and then everything else can start flowing. Sorry, we're just how shall I say, violently agreeing with each other.
I think that, I like to take people at face value.
Great.
And like you said, right? I like to take people at face value and then give them the benefit of the doubt. And then whether that serves me right or serves me wrong, then you learn lessons from there.
Sure. Advice to kids of today, and especially young boys and girls coming in 10, 11, 12, 13, all the pressures, everything that's going on. What's your advice to them?
Hard.
Advice to them and their parents. Two different things. Parents are hovering. They're doing helicopter parenting. And the kids.
I think that, so I used to work in education.
Right.
And what I saw a lot was that parents put a lot of pressure on their children to achieve, right? Or to be the best, to do this, to do that. I'm not against that. I'm a high achiever, and I feel like that was instilled in me when I was very young. But I remember as a teacher, right, I used to think, because I taught little kids, 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and the parents put so much pressure on them to learn how to read. And I remember I used to tell the parents in parent-teacher conferences, I was like, your child will learn how to read, no matter what. Like, that is guaranteed in this world, almost, right? 99.9% is going to be that they will read. They might not read this year. They might not read next year. But the year, it's going to happen. But then when you put all that pressure on such a tiny little child who is so, I used to say, they used to come to us as, blank slates, clean pieces of paper. And they're so malleable that if you put lots of pressure, right, you can break somebody.
That's true.
And for kids, what I would say is, be you, have fun, see the world through your eyes. Don't take things too seriously. You have your whole life to be serious. Be fun.
Indeed, fun is good. Another word that I use regularly. As you know, I'm a speaker at a global level, and I'm there. And when people like me on stage and so on, and I ask them, what is it that connects with you? And the phrase that I hear regularly, at least 6, 7, 8 out of 10 times, is authentic. I am authentic when I'm there. My heart's open. I'm vulnerable. I'm ready to explore. I can be self-deprecating. I don't take myself too seriously, and I go out there, and they see that. Humans now, they have so much knowledge. They smell BS a mile away. And so when you're standing on stage, well, it's about that authenticity. How can we bring that authenticity into our relationships and into our day-to-day stuff?
So you said something earlier when we were speaking, and I was going to bring this up, so I'm so happy that you brought it up. It's about like, it's funny. I literally just put a couple together, and she was saying something like, "Oh, like, you know, people when they start dating, I hope the other person likes me. I'm not sure, blah blah." And I said, what you need to remember is from date one, the first time you're going to meet somebody, you need to wholly, completely be yourself. Because you can only put up a facade for so long.
Sure.
And you don't want this person falling in love with a facade. You want them to fall in love with you. And if there is no connection, you don't want to be faking a connection for so long. That's so tiring. Yeah. Authentically be you, because the right partner that you're going to be compatible with, you will attract that when you are genuinely yourself. Yeah. So you must be that from the very beginning. Stop trying to put up a facade.
Brilliant. No, that's amazing. Final couple of questions, but before I go to my final question, is there anything that you would like to have mentioned that I may have missed? Any key message, any key idea, any thought?
Okay, you're going to hold me to this, right, Tarek?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Totally.
I'm going to be a billionaire by 40.
Okay.
So in 5 years, call me.
That's fair enough.
And I'll come on again in 5 years to give you a whole new spiel about what happened in the last 5.
Absolutely. I'd love to interview you as a billionaire. No, absolutely. And you know, there is a billionaire mindset. And I
call it Billy energy. Yes.
But by the way, by the time you're a billionaire, you won't even know how the hell to spend your bloody money. You know that?
No,
because there's so much.
Not. It's so much.
No, it's so much, too much.
It's just an achievement. I want to be known as a billionaire. I like status. I am obsessed with status.
Okay. I mean, Bill Gates once said that, the first 100 million was really exciting. The first billion was great. After that, I don't even know how much money I have.
But you can help so many people.
Of course you can.
And that's the best part about that, is that you can create so much opportunity and so much greatness for others, because you do have the ability to give. Yeah. And that's what I can't wait for.
So let me help you on that journey to making a difference through this. And we'll connect independently also, number one. Number two is help you on your journey to becoming a billionaire on one condition. Give it back.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
And then my heart opens up and I'm all yours.
That's all I think about is all of the opportunities that I can create for others when I do reach, and obviously before I'm a billionaire, all the opportunities as well.
Sure.
Because I think about the people that have, the people that have invested in me and in my businesses, and I want to be that for other people.
Indeed.
That they just took a leap of faith and say, here you go.
My final question to you is that if you were to put a message in a bottle, a one-liner, and put it in the bottle and sort of say, please come back to me on my 40th birthday, and it's somewhere in the ocean in the Dubai Creek, what will that one-liner say to you now that you've just become a billionaire?
Be nice enough. You don't need to be too nice.
What's too nice?
I think as women, we're expected to be so nice, so sweet in our little box. But in all honesty, you just have to be nice enough. You don't need to bend over backwards for so many people. Let them earn it from you.
Okay. That's a message that I'm sure somebody will be inspired by.
I hope so.
Christiana, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very, very much. You shared with us a lot of your thoughts, your advice, how to be a billionaire. And I'm going to be watching you, the Billionaire Matchmaker. Okay, by the way, that's how I was introduced, you Billionaire Matchmaker. And I was figuring it out. Like what kind of global company does she have that is a $1 billion valuation? But I'm sure we will meet again.
Yes, we will.
And I'm sure we will connect in many, many ways. But thank you for being on Voices of the Future.
Yes, thank you.
We're launching next month with you in it. And we'll have a wonderful time. Thank you very, very much from my heart.
Thank you.
With lots of love, depth, authenticity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tarek.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
We've been talking to Christiana, and what a chat. I mean, so unexpected, and it's going to be on Voices of the Future. And you folks thought that it's all going to be about digitization and tech and blockchain and fintech. Guess what? Love. That's what we talk about. Love is the highest level of vibration, and that's what we do, and that's what we live for. We live for love.